Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, we pass go and collect 200 coins. That's 2 extra lives. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as I am always joined, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you today. We are going to be talking about the news from the week, including the Nintendo Direct Mini Partner Showcase. And then on Thursday, we are going to be ranking some Toads. Not all the Toads, because there's too many of them. But in the meantime, Mark, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Patrick. I have to compliment you on your shirt. Let me paint a picture for the listeners.
Please.
It's like actually I'm going to paint a picture for the listeners, but are
you also going to hurt my feelings?
No, I'm not, but that's what I'm worried about. Where it's like my description of a shirt that I like, it's the reason why you never tell somebody that they look like a celebrity, because what if that person doesn't find it flattering, right?
Right.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, don't tell someone they look like Michael Shannon, no matter how much you like Michael Shannon.
Okay, it's a really cool, like, floral Hawaiian print shirt. But it's blue, which I feel like you don't see a lot of in these like tropical themed shirts, and I like it a lot.
The thing that I like a lot about this shirt is that it has like a nice solid background and then a ton of flowers like over it. And there's no like easy place where the pattern repeats or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like it looks as though someone found an actual arrangement of foliage, photographed it in front of a blue background, and then made it my shirt.
It's very nice. I like it a lot.
Thank you. It's soft. Here's my philosophy. And it has been my philosophy for a couple weeks now. It is summer outside, right?
Mm-hmm.
We are not allowed to go outside, so we must make it summer inside. And this shirt is living that philosophy.
Did you see that like news story that was going around that in Japan they've reopened a few like amusement parks, but they're asking people to like wear masks on rides and stuff like that. But they're also asking people to not scream on roller coasters. And instead, they're asking them to scream inside their hearts. And I feel like that just like really sums up 2020.
If you would like to scream inside your heart, you can do it by borrowing my copy of Sonic Forces for the Nintendo Switch. All you got to do is send us an email to Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com and include a mailing address where we can scream this thing with our hearts right to you. You can play it for as long as you want. You can send it back. It's still a good program, Mark.
And it costs you nothing.
Costs you nothing. Yeah, I send return postage along with it. Mark, we've got some emails from listeners that I would like to address.
Perfect. I love it. I love when we get emails from listeners.
First email is from Arlo. Arlo writes, "Hello from foggy California. My name is Arlo, and I am 11. I'm a big fan of your podcast and stuck in quarantine like everyone else right now. Me and my brother saved up $1,100 to buy our Switches. It's a lot of money. To buy our Switches and ample games. My question for you is it worth buying Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Fighter Pass DLC. Before quarantine, it was easy for me to rake in lots of cash at my father's local farm stand, but now it's become harder because we can't do lemonade stands anymore. I mean, all the DLC fighters look cool and all, but because Super Smash Bros. Ultimate kind of has been in my backlog of video games, considering how I've been tearing through Animal Crossing New Horizons and all. Anyway, I really enjoy Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, but I feel the way to reignite the flame probably with Super Smash Bros. Won't be with some new characters. With admiration, Arlo. P.S. Thanks for all you guys do. It really lightens my day. Arlo, obviously, Mark and I are very impressed at your ability to save $1,100 and buy a couple of Switches and some games.
Yeah, that's amazing. So Patrick, do
Yes.
you think that the fighters passes, both of them, are worth the extra money?
So, short answer, no. They are, considering how much content they really offer. That the first one is 5 characters and the second one is 6 characters, and they are $25 and $30 respectively. Yeah, there are more stages. Yeah, there's more music. So like it feels like a lot of content, but man, that's a lot of money to pay for just a handful of extra characters. And especially in a game that is already offering you like, I mean, what are there, like 80 characters in the game, vanilla with no
Yeah, something like
add-ons?
that.
I mean, 25 for the first one, 30 for the second one. That's almost a whole separate Switch game, like full retail price, $60 Switch game right there. I don't know. I would say if I was gaming on a budget where I've got $1,100 to buy 2 Switches and games for both of them, I don't know that I would spend it on the Fighters Pass.
Yeah, I agree with you. So I think the only way that I would see it's worthwhile is if you are like really into Smash Brothers, and with
Yes.
each of those characters, like you intend to like put time into each one. Cause look, I bought the first Fighters Pass, and like it was fun at first as they were coming out to be like, oh cool, like I'm gonna like check them out. But I never really did a ton with them. And I think like for me, the fun of it is like having them unlock when it unlocks, like spending $25 and just like getting all of them,
Yeah.
and just having them all, like, to me does not sound like that much fun. And I haven't bought the second Fighters Pass, and I don't really intend to. So I agree with Patrick Arlo. I vote no.
Yeah, which is tough because like I don't know, for me it's such a huge price tag, and I did buy the first Fighters Pass. I have not yet purchased the second one. I know that I will. Um but that's just sort of because I have this Nintendo disease. And Smash Brothers is one of those games where I'm just like, yeah, I'm going to spend the money to experience the thing in its entirety, whether I put the new characters to good use or not. But like that is a decision I would advise myself against, and yet I know I'm going to make it. So if I can advise someone else to not make it, I would say don't make that decision. Don't do it. Make not that decision. And then, thank you for writing in, Arlo. And then we have another email from Alex. Alex writes, "Hello, NCS. Hope you are both doing well. When I listen to podcasts, I like to start from the beginning and listen to every episode. Around a year ago, I started listening to your podcast, and I finally caught up on the latest episode today. Alex, congratulations. That's a lot of listening to us talk."
I'm like I am very curious. One, like yeah, Alex, that is like seriously impressive. Two, I wonder if there are people who've like found us towards the beginning and have like stuck with us all this way, because I feel like the show has probably changed quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, the hosts are. Oh no, the hosts are exactly the same. Yeah, no, I mean that would be interesting. Do we have any like early days listeners, people who've been listening since like the teens or like early 20 episode numbers? That would be interesting. Write in, let us know. Nintendo Cartridge Society
at gmail.com.
Alex continues. I am emailing you with some questions/comments. Question/comment number 1. I think Nintendo should sell official Nabbit or Bowser Jr. face coverings that match the video games, since everyone has to wear masks. Great idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Send them out for people who signed up for like a Nintendo account, right? Let us use
for
platinum
the Nintendo
coins.
Switch Online.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, please. I need something to use these platinum points on. Question/comment number 2. When do you think Dr. Guigi will be added to Dr. Mario World?
I'm hoping for my birthday. Maybe it'll actually get me to download Dr. Mario World again.
I don't want to tip our hands too much, but where do you think we would rank Dr. Guigi? Do you think he's a good doctor? Or you think he's a bad doctor?
So I think he's a bad doctor, but I might pay the copay just to like see what it's like. You know what I mean?
Just to touch him, yeah. Question/comment number 3. One of you guys mentioned using Reddit in a recent episode. Do you have a subreddit? We do not have a subreddit. I am also a very passive Reddit user. I'm on like the Transformers Reddit because I wrote that issue of Transformers. I wanted to see what people were saying about it because I'm a narcissist. I'm on the Ninja Turtles subreddit for the same reason. Not super deep into Reddit. We do not have one that I know of. But if someone wants to start one, I'll happily chime in on that from time to time. Mark, you a Reddit guy?
I do not use Reddit. I don't understand Reddit. I admit it. Like it confuses me. It frightens me.
You're right to be confused and frightened. The question/comment number 4. You guys made a joke about how Patrick's Animal Crossing recreation of a stadium should be surrounded by cars and traffic. I think you could actually do this if you surrounded it with the throwback race car bed or pocket modern camper and pocket vintage camper variations. The pocket items with the added benefit of being so little that it would make the stadium look even bigger. This is a great idea.
It is a great idea. I love this.
I'm 100% going to do it. And so you have to, I'll line the race car beds up side by side. So you just have to like roll over a bunch of them to get up to the Hollywood Bowl. Question/comment number 5. Why don't you guys have ads on your podcast?
Listen, Alex, we would love to sell out. I would desperately love to sell out. We did at some point when we had like 5 listeners. It didn't make any sense.
That's right. We did read McWeldon ads for a little while, and by read them, I just like freestyle talked about them. And maybe we did such a good job that they decided that we should not be invited back to do it again. I don't know. It's not really something that you and I don't do this podcast to make money. We do it because we like talking to each other and we like talking about Nintendo. If there was an easy, like just plug and play opportunity for us to like put some ads in here that are still like ads from us talking about stuff and not just like, mid-roll stuff inserted, I think we would do it. Yeah. All right.
I mean,
I
would love to sell out any opportunity.
So if you want to hook us up. And then question/comment number 6. If in the chance the Sonic Forces game didn't come back to you, would the borrowing program cease to exist, or would you have to buy another?
I reject
Mark.
the premise of the question because the Sonic Forces borrowing program is the perfect program, and so it would not be possible for something to go wrong. And if it did, that would be the way that the program was supposed to go, and we would we accept anything that happens with the Sonic Forces borrowing program because it is a perfect program.
That's right. And there was a period of time when my copy of Sonic Forces went, I don't want to say missing, but there was a period of maybe 3 or 4 months where I thought it was going to be coming back to me.
It was a long borrow.
Yeah, it was a long borrow. But the whole time, although I do believe we stopped saying, we stopped advertising it, which doesn't mean that it didn't exist during that time. Yeah. It did. So yes, we are rejecting your premise. I believe in the goodness of human beings to return my copy of Sonic Forces to me, by hook or by crook. The post office could get shut down, and people would find a way to get this copy of Sonic Forces back to me. Alex also went through and cataloged a great many things that we have said in the past, because remember, he's listened to all of our episodes in the last year or so, and a number of things that we have said that have changed in the time since. Alex, that is an exhaustive list. I am very impressed with it. I don't always understand what you're saying, but man, we've said a lot of things on this show.
We have one of the things I was joking about is like there are a lot of games that I was like, I'm gonna buy this and I'll buy it at any price, and then I never buy it. So
yes. Yeah, well, and we have said multiple times on this show, and I don't think this is the thing that has changed, or that time will prove to be incorrect, that we are not experts. We are merely fans of the company and of video games. We make a lot of bad predictions. We call things by the wrong name over and over again. Look, I know it's Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, and not Dark of the Moon. That's a Transformers movie. I know that because I'm on the Transformers subreddit. All right, Mark, let's get into what we've been playing this week. One of these days, Mark, I'm going to finish Picross S. I am so near the final puzzles right now. No new observations about the game other than I love turning my brain off and just solving number puzzles. It's so good.
Yeah, I want to. So I have put on pause Murder by Numbers, but that's only because I picked up Paper Mario: The Origami King. But I love ever since I rediscovered Murder by Numbers, I'm excited to have that game as kind of like my go-to game when I need something to pick up and play. So I am liking Paper Mario: The Origami King. It
sounds qualified.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not that far into it, so I'm just about to beat the second boss, the first one that's attached to a ribbon, and so that's still early in the game, and I'm assuming things are going to change, and there will be a lot more of the stuff that I like in the game, the fun vignettes and everything. It's kind of reminding me of the Outer Worlds in the sense where I think the overarching game and some of the mechanics I'm not that crazy about, but the individual pieces that I like and the little vignettes that happen I find really enjoyable, and so I'm liking it for that. Probably I'm bad at the battle system, the puzzles.
Yeah.
They put a time limit on it, and there's a way for you to buy yourself more time, but I'm just not very good at looking at a board, and it's why I've never really gone into chess, because it's really hard for me to just look at a board and visually figure that kind of stuff out. And so the boss battles, they kind of flip the mechanic. So instead of being in the center trying to change the rings, you're on the outside and the rings have arrows that move you in a certain direction. You're using that to get to the center to attack the boss, and for whatever reason that I like a lot, but the standard battle method it's just not really clicking for me, and so I'm having a hard time enjoying it. I find the battles really stressful. But the but the stuff I like is the stuff that Paper Mario is known for, right? It's the fun vignettes, the good writing. The character that tags along with you, her name's Olivia, I think, and she's the Origami King's sister. I'm at this point finding her really difficult to like.
Oh no.
Her writing is fine, but she is just in that vein of a Nintendo sidekick who is over helpful. So probably a really good example is so you free this Toad in one part of the map, and then he's hey, come back to Toad Town and I'm gonna open up my shop and you can check it out. And so you go back to, eventually whenever you go back to Toad Town, you're at the entrance. You see the Toad at his shop, and he's standing there jumping up and down. And then Olivia goes, "Isn't there a Toad that you're supposed to go see?" And then, literally right after her dialogue closes, the Toad says, "Hey, it's me, that guy that you were supposed to go see. Come over to my shop." It feels really handholdy in a way that I'm not enjoying up front, but again, I'm only a few hours in, so I'm curious to see how it evolves as the game continues.
That's interesting. I wonder if because there will certainly come a point in the game where you've put it down and you're going back to it and you're what the heck was I doing? And then she'll pop up and be hey, weren't we supposed to go to the forest? And you're thank you. And I know that sort of dynamic signposting like that, and giving the player an opportunity to search a little bit for themselves before having the assistant character be hey, over here, is maybe if not a newer thing than just sort of a more advanced game design mechanic. But it is, look, there's a reason that we made fun of Navi going listen in Ocarina of Time 20 whatever years ago. It can be annoying to have someone always telling you which way to go.
I guess like I think I'm feeling about this game, which I'm enjoying, kind of maybe the same way that you felt about Color Splash, where it's like, oh, like, it's really colorful and fun, and the writing is clever and interesting, but some of the mechanics just make it feel really like getting in its own way. But again, I'm only a few hours in, and so I'm excited to see how it like evolves.
Yeah, and like 100%, that was my experience with Color Splash, where I just wanted to see more of the world. I wanted to see more of the weird characters that were in it. But then I would have to, like get through this cave and like fight a bunch of battles, and like the battle system's not super fun. And it's like, well, how funny is it really going to be to get to this, next village and like talk to a lazy toad or something? Like, is it going to be worth the pain of putting myself through a sort of overly fussy combat system? Do you think you're going to stick with it?
I do think I'm gonna stick with it. So I just got, or I guess not just, but a little while ago I got a power up. So if I like attack enemies on the field, I don't have to go into the battle because I'm like powerful enough that it just
Oh,
like knocks them
nice.
out. So
Yeah.
that part is nice. When I'm at as I make forward progress, obviously I'm not like over leveled enough to do that. And the game is really like uh if you collect coins in from battles and all that kind of stuff, like it's pretty easy to get thousands of coins, and then you can spend them in battle to like extend the amount of time you have for the puzzles, or to like you can spend a bunch of coins and like incentivize toads to like give you items, or they can attack enemies and like all that kind of stuff. So there are ways that it like balances out the fact that I'm not in love with like the battle system itself. And so yeah, and I'm at least at the point where I like want to keep going, because I feel it's a little bit like Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, where like the first area is probably the most like
Mm-hmm.
basic, the least interesting. And then because I've seen screenshots from later areas, and I'm like, what is this? Like, I want to get there. That's where I want to go. So I think I still need to just like break through this first part.
Totally. I've been playing a little bit of As Promised. I did pick up Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2, and I have been playing some of that. I don't like it as much as the original, but I don't know if the original just like came at like a time when it did come out before the Castlevania anniversary collection. So like I think I probably just didn't have a bunch of like 8-bit Castlevania in my life. So having it now feels a little bit less novel, but it's still very fun. The new characters are super cool. There's one who's like a sniper, so he got a range weapon that shoots all the way across the screen. There's one that's a corgi in a mech, um, and he's like 4 times the size of any of the rest of the characters. It's so funny. Like, you're playing the rest of the game and you feel like you're playing Castlevania, and then you switch to the corgi and you're like, oh no, I'm that section from Mega Man X when he gets inside like a mech, right? Um, so it's fun. It's not like blowing me away, but like, the music is good, the graphics are great. It does a really smart thing with the color palette for each of the individual characters, because you can change them on the fly, like as you're going through the level, and you can just push L and R to like switch between them. And like all of their color palettes are like just unique. So like your main guy, Zengetsu, I believe is his name, is like a nice like brown color, and then there's like a spear girl who's blue. The gun guy is green, and the corgi is maybe orange. But like, you can tell, you could like just out of the corner of your eye, like peripheral vision, switch characters and know exactly who you're controlling. Like, it's so fast and really helps like identify that character's abilities immediately. And it's really nice and really fun and really smart. And I don't know if I'm going to see it through the end. I have yet to convince Sarah to play it with me, but someday you and I will play it together, Mark.
Yeah, that's right. Because it has couch co-op, right?
It does
Yeah.
have couch co-op, yes, but not online, which is a real missed opportunity. We would be playing it right now. Mark, do you want to talk about our experiences with Ring Fit Adventure? How are you doing? I've been off it for too many days at this point. And I have vowed to go. I'm not working tomorrow because I worked over the weekend. So I am planning to do it tomorrow, but it's been a couple days.
Yeah, I've been doing pretty good with it. But the way I've decided to use it, which look, I'm not like look, I am sure I'm not maximizing my use of Ring Fit Adventure, but I basically just do it until they're like, "Hey, you want to stop for the day?" And I'm like, "Yeah,
Yeah, me too.
I do." And that's usually about
First
like
first time it offers. Yeah.
and that's like usually like 15 or 20 minutes of like exercising, and I'm like, "Yeah, actually, yeah, I'm done for the day. Thank you."
Yes, I'm very tired and sweaty, and my legs are getting sore.
The
Yeah, no,
I
me too.
dread the boss battles because they're so long. The boss battles are
Yeah,
so long.
they're so long. And man, after I like lost in a fight because I didn't have enough smoothies with me, um, that's so demoralizing. Because like you still did the work, you're still tired. Like when you die in a normal RPG, you're like, oh, I'll just try it again, or I'll just go to the store. But like this, I'm like, no, I've already expended my like actual physical real world energy. I can't do it again until a couple days have passed. All right, so that's what we've been playing this week. Let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week.
So I would rank this as like a quieter week for new releases.
That's what I.
Today, July 21st, Panzer Paladin is released on the Switch eShop.
Yeah, have you seen any like video or stills of
I
this?
don't think
Um,
so.
it's a cool looking like side-scrolling platformer slash shooter where you're like rolling around in a mech. It just has a really nice it like 8-bit pixel art style to it. And I neglected to check out the price of this thing, but if it's like a $10 or $15 purchase, like I'm definitely gonna get it. It feels like it's right up my alley. Um, and I'll report back on it next week.
So it is $20.
No, past the threshold that I said I would buy it, no problem.
And then on Thursday, July 23rd, Crisis Remastered is released on Switch. Kind of had like a weird. If you had been following the like Crisis Remastered release saga a little bit, so I think footage. It was not officially announced. Footage leaked. People were kind of like upset by the quality of the footage, and so even before it had been officially announced, they came out and were like, we're gonna delay the release hey, this thing is real, and we're gonna delay the release of it to do like a little
Didn't
bit.
they didn't they delay the release of the trailer as well?
Yeah,
Like the
possibly,
trailer
yeah.
leaked and then they delayed the release of the trailer to
Yeah.
get the engine working better. Something crazy like that.
And so then they were like they delayed all of it, but then like a week or so after they delayed everything, they were like the Nintendo Switch version is still going to come out on the original release date, which was July 23rd, which is this Thursday, which is when it's coming out. And I think the reason they did it is because basically like no when people saw the Switch footage, like nobody really had anything bad to say about it. They were like, "Oh, that actually looks like pretty good for Nintendo Switch." And so I think it's like the PS4 and the Xbox One versions that are getting a little bit more work. Crisis is a series like I've never played before. It ranks up there with like Metro for me, where it is something that I'm like interested in, and I think if I sat down and played it, I would probably enjoy it. But I just look, I'm when Doom Eternal comes out, I plan on buying it. So take what I'm about to say for what it's worth, which is not very much. But like, there's just something about like these like Metro and like Crisis games that are so like gun and like combat focused that it's I don't know. I have found that as I get older, I have a harder time getting into those types of games.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, you know that's been my stance, just kind of in life lately, but also on the show for the last couple years. But also, I gleefully played The Last of Us Part Two, which is one of the more violent experiences I've had in my life, and is full of guns and stuff too. But it's kind of just the um there are either thoughtful or funny applications of it that I think do work. Um, but yeah, engaging in something like Crisis just feels different for whatever reason. Okay, those are the new releases. Mark, let's close this segment out. Now it's time for a regular segment on our show. It's time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or a group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So, for the duration of one performance, 433, Mark and I will talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. Mark, last week we talked about what we've been watching in quarantine. I think now we want to talk about what we've been eating in quarantine. And also, do you think I don't really have a gauge for this? Do you think we talk about quarantine a lot on this show or not a lot?
I have no idea.
This weekend, Sarah and I met our friend Ryan in a park. Kept a very healthy distance from her the whole time. We each brought our own like separate food, and we're on separate blankets. And we talked about a bunch of stuff, but we spent probably 80% of the time talking about coronavirus, right? And I feel like that is most of my non-NCS interactions, like real conversations, is just like talking about how we're surviving this. And so I thought maybe we're sort of, not that we're avoiding talking about it on this show, but we've got like an agenda, right? And so now, like, how have you been eating during coronavirus?
Yeah. Well, one thing that I will be interested to see whenever like things return to a more like standard version of normal, what my husband and I's habits change to, because one thing that's been like interesting and also nice, like we've been lucky enough to be able to work from home during this whole thing, but like we also eat our meals at home like way more than we did before because we're not commuting, and so there's just like a lot more time. But that means that we're like saving a lot of money, and that's nice.
Yeah.
You realize like how much money you're like spending by eating out way more than we do now. But and
Yeah,
so
two people eating lunch during the workday, that's like $25-$30. Like
yeah,
that's a lot of money
yeah,
every day.
yeah. So it'll be interesting to see like what, and I mean, look, just personally, like like I was like, I'm not like the kind of like bring my lunch from home type person. But after this, like I can totally see myself becoming, hopefully, like that, like doing that sort of thing, because I don't know, I've
Yeah.
just gotten like more used to it. I was definitely very like spoiled before. And it's just yeah, it'll be interesting to see how much of that, how long these like changes will be, or if it will like quickly go back to old habits.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things I know that has made like lunch for us very easy is that around noon, one of us will be busy doing something and the other one will be like, I'm getting kind of hungry, and then make lunch for both of us. And so like that'll either be me or that'll be her, and it's lunch, so it's fast and easy. Like we're making a salad or some sandwiches or something. And it means that yeah, it I've had like a satisfying homemade lunch every day of this, which yeah makes me feel like I don't ever want to go back to having to figure out like who's running to Chipotle or whatever.
Yeah, I've again, it's super lucky because my husband is like, he's a really good cook. He knows how to like, take different ingredients and like put a meal together. And if the roles were reversed, like if it was my job to do that, like we would be in so much trouble, because I just don't think about food that much. And so, like I'm not very good at planning. I don't want to like think about in the morning what I'm going to have for like dinner, cuz it's like I don't know,
Yeah.
like and so I'm really bad at that. And so I'm so grateful that he's like great, like he puts up with me being like, I don't know, like how am I supposed to know what I want for dinner? It's like noon.
Yeah,
He's like,
you just make a decision. I mean, so I'm not necessarily the same way. Like I can plan ahead a little bit, but early in the lockdown, it became clear that Sarah really liked the planning and like felt like Oh, I guess we'll never know. uh, no, I'll finish that little anecdote. Just that she got like some, felt some semblance of control in doing like the meal planning and like the grocery shopping and stuff like that. So like I just ceded it to her really early. Was like, all right, great, that's what you do. I won't get in the way of it. You can ask me questions if you want, but I won't like tell you how or when or what to do here. And it's been great as soon as I realized that that's what I needed to do. We were accompanied today by pianist Armin Fuchs. All right, Mark, let's get into the news.
So late Sunday night, Nintendo announced a Nintendo Direct Mini focused on announced games from partner publishers and developers that happened yesterday morning at 7 a.m. Pacific time. So they specifically called this like a new type of Nintendo Direct. It's a Nintendo Direct Mini partner showcase that they say this is only the first of ones that will be coming in the future.
Let's talk about expectation setting because this thing is perfect. Because Nintendo is like, okay, A, it's a mini direct. B, it's only about announced games. Don't expect any non-announced games. And it's from our partner publishers and developers. No first party, no surprises.
Yeah, and
I love it.
And I think, I'm not sure if Nintendo of America or one of the other accounts were just like, and it's 10 minutes. Like, this is right. Like, I don't even know. It's a weird presentation. Like, it's a weird grab bag of like stuff they were talking
it really
about.
Is.
So first it starts off with Cadence of Hyrule, Crypt of the Necrodancer, which is an indie game that was released last year. And yesterday morning they announced that it's getting 3 DLC packs. The first one is Characters, which includes Impa, Arya, which is Cadence's grandmother, and maybe a totally new character.
I went to the Zelda wiki to find out if she is a character from some other game, and the Zelda wiki, which is normally has exhaustive character descriptions on everyone, just said that she is Cadence's grandmother. So I think she's got to be new.
Gotcha.
To this.
And then you get Shadow Link and also Shadow Zelda and Frederick, which is a merchant from the game Cadence of Hyrule. And so that one is $6 and is available now. They also have DLC Pack 2, which is Melodies. It's 39 new pieces of music, including remixes of the game's background music. This one's also $6 and will be releasing before the end of October. And then the third one is called Symphony of the Mask, where you can play as Skull Kid. The mask change like your abilities, has new map, new music. This one is $10 and also will be releasing before the end of October. Or you can get the season pass, which is currently $15. You'll get all 3 plus bonus costumes for Link and Zelda.
And that is a very good deal if you were thinking about buying it at piecemeal, because otherwise it's what, $22. Like you're saving $8 by buying or $7 rather, by buying the season pass.
So there also is going to be a physical edition, the complete edition, which has all the DLC. It will be available October 23rd for $39.99 on the eShop and physically.
So logically speaking, that means that the DLC packs must be coming out not just before the end of October, but before October 23rd, right?
That's a really great point. Yeah, that's a really good point.
Also, look, I don't mean to be a pedantic weirdo, but the game Cadence of Hyrule is $24.99 on the eShop. So you can buy it and the DLC pack for $14.99. That saves you a whole penny off the $39.99 price point of the complete package.
Yeah, and
so save yourself the penny.
And so up next, and look, I try not to be one of those fans, but I totally was. Where like when I was watching the mini direct, I was like looking at that progress bar going, and I was like, okay, we spent like 2.5 minutes on Cadence of Hyrule.
That's a long time.
So next was Rogue Company, which is like a Fortnite type game. I totally blanked on what this type of game is called.
Battle
Royale. Like, yeah. So Rogue Company, the trailer introduced a new character, Glitch, and they also announced that the game is going to have cross-play and cross-save support from day one. On Switch, it'll include motion assisted aiming. And the game launched shortly after the Direct in early access. So there's 3 different versions that you can purchase on the eShop. The first one starts at $15. The most expensive one is $60. They all give you like access to the beta, or I guess just like early access, plus some additional, like downloadables. But yeah, so you can get in at $15. I think the middle tier one is like 30, and then the most expensive one is the full $60. So,
Does Rogue Company do anything for you?
no, not really. Although I'm interested to know what like differentiates it from like PUBG or like a Fortnite.
I think it's possible that it is less. Look, here's the thing. We're obviously we're not super well informed on this one. I think it may in fact be a little bit more like a hero shooter type and less of a battle royale. That it four versus four like Battlefield.
Oh,
just sort
gotcha.
of,
So more like an
shooter.
Overwatch than a Fortnite.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Possibly. Also, maybe that's not true.
So after Rogue Company, we got a little bit of WWE 2K Battlegrounds, which this is not a reveal, right? I feel like everybody already knew this game existed.
Yeah, nothing in this is a.
Oh, that's right. That was
reveal,
their whole
right?
thing. Yeah.
Only announced games. I think one of the announcements coming up, I think, is probably actually a reveal. But yeah, I don't think 2K Battlegrounds was.
Well, I guess like the thing I don't understand about this trailer is what we didn't seem to get any new information. It was just like a trailer.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
and some professional wrestlers playing the professional wrestling game. It's got legends and current superstars in there. So someone is playing Andre the Giant. And I don't know if I was tracking that this game has like a kind of like chibi cartoony art style to it. But like it looks real stupid and kind of fun. Like I don't know. I'm not someone who is into wrestling generally speaking, but I think that if I was, this would be the kind of wrestling game that I would actually want to play instead of the sort of like more like photorealistic sim kind of
yeah,
it
kind of seems like NBA Jam, but or like NBA Playgrounds, but for WWE. I totally have quarantine brain because all I could think during this trailer was like, when was this filmed? How are these people sitting so close together? Like,
great
is this
question.
really old? Were they like CG'd in place? Like, what's going on?
Well, wrestling is happening, right?
Oh yeah,
so, like,
no, that's a good point.
The wrestling performers are tested like every day and are sort of like quarantined together. So they probably were able to just jam a bunch of them into the room together and film them.
And then I would say that this is probably the most. Well, actually, one of these has to have been I think was a reveal, but was probably the most exciting part. Even though it's a series I've never played, it's at least a series I was familiar with. We got I think reveal of Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne HD remake. Now I think Shin Megami Tensei 3 is a 3DS game that is now being brought to the Switch, and that'll release spring 2021 in the US. It's coming out in Japan this October. And then we finally got a new trailer for Shin Megami Tensei 5, which is a game that was teased with a short teaser all the way back in the January 2017 like Switch reveal, which we talked about just a couple of weeks ago. And the trailer at the end, they showed that it'll be a simultaneous global release when it releases in 2021, which is kind of crazy for like a big Atlas RPG.
Yeah, I mean, it really is like, especially considering, like I wonder what it is about this game that made them push to make it a worldwide simultaneous release when Persona 5 and Persona 5 Royal were not worldwide releases. Persona is a much bigger series, I think. At least it certainly is in the West than Shin Megami Tensei, and just like by install base, the PlayStation 4 is bigger than the Switch. So like it's just it's a very interesting move, and I wonder why it isn't something that Atlas has pushed for before.
Yeah, and maybe there's like Nintendo is helping out in some respect,
Yeah, could be.
and two, maybe it is like Persona is a spin-off of Shin Megami Tensei, but I'm wondering if this is like Atlus's attempt to position the original series Shin Megami Tensei as like like as big a deal as Persona is, like to try to get it bigger in the West.
Do you think it has a shot at that though? Because like watching the trailers for Shin Megami Tensei 3 and 5, um, they lack that very like anime kids in school
Totally.
in the 21st century like style that the Persona games have. Like, part of the hook for those games is that it's like magical mystical stuff happening in like the real world that's like happening to kids, and they're cool, and all of that, and like the cool factor seems so notably absent from the Shin Megami Tensei trailers.
No, I think you're right. I mean, I think the reason Persona probably took off here is because like it has those tropes of like, yeah, like it's kids and they're in high school, and so you have like all of that stuff which people like and are familiar with because of from like anime in general. I think that's like a great like hook in a way into those games that it seems like Shin Megami Tensei has never had. And there's nothing in it, these games seem super dark, like even more so than like the Persona games. Like there's nothing in either trailer that's like, oh, this seems like a good time.
Yeah, I believe the description for both of these games included the word post-apocalyptic. So like, or just apocalyptic. Like, I think the
Yeah.
Shin Megami Tensei games are living through the end of the world,
Yeah.
which is fine. We all are. So maybe it'll be really cool and fun.
But like I mentioned at the beginning, that like Nintendo is saying that this new partner showcase format is something that they'll continue going forward, and that we can expect see more of them this year. Patrick, what do you think? It's like kind of like a weird old direct.
It is a weird old direct. I gotta say, I said that they set expectations appropriately. And they set expectations appropriately like 10 hours before they were like, it was late on Sunday when they finally tweeted about this thing. And then it came out, early Monday morning, which is maybe the way they should always be doing these things. No matter how big the direct is, we don't need 2 days to just like sit here and go like, oh, what's it gonna be? Because it's never gonna be what we think it is. But I mean, I don't know. There isn't anything in this specific direct mini that speaks to me or gets me excited. There was a second where I was like, oh, should I get into Crypt of the Necrodancer? And that's still something that's rolling around in my head now, especially since I found out that Panzer Paladin is $20 and not 15 or 10 like I had hoped. But yeah, I don't know what do you think about this as a method for rolling out like third party announcements?
Yeah, I think it's fine. I think it makes a lot of sense. I mean, I think the general air of disappointment is just because, we don't know anything about Nintendo, the rest of Nintendo's 2020. And
Yeah, I mean, if you want to have that conversation, let's have that conversation. I mean, it's we Paper Mario has come out. I believe the only Nintendo published game that we know about that's going to come out this year is Pokemon Snap.
we don't know that that's coming out this year. I think the only one that has
Right.
a date that's Nintendo published in the US anyways is Bravely Default 2, which
Yeah, good point.
is like 2020. So I think it's well documented at this point that COVID-19 has totally thrown like Nintendo's plans y- to the wind a little bit, or at least like made them reevaluate when things were going to release. There of course have been like rumors of some remake or remasters of 3D Mario games for Mario Brothers 35th anniversary. I personally believe that in addition to those, there is probably like one like holiday title that's coming. I don't know what that is. Like maybe it is the also rumored Pikmin, 3 remake or deluxe, or the Super Mario 3D World coming to Switch. But I feel like we let's say that the 3D Mario remakes are coming out in September or October for the Mario 35th anniversary. Like, I think it's super possible at this point that we just get a like Paper Mario type reveal like 6 weeks out.
Yeah, yeah, to like the very last possible second before like it'll leak because they're shipping it to retailers and stuff. Um, yeah, it's tough. I think that like you say, Nintendo's obviously been affected by COVID-19 and the state of emergency in Japan, and just having to work from home, which is not a normal part of like Japanese business practices. Um, but I think it has made them like really gun shy to announce anything, probably in a way that's to their detriment. Um, like I mean, honestly, looking at the entirety of like the video game space altogether, now that we're on the other side of Ghost of Tsushima and Paper Mario, it well yeah, it feels like there's a big empty field here between now and the next generation consoles. And I'm kind of looping Cyberpunk 2077 in with the new consoles, because I think that's all basically going to happen at the exact same time. But that leaves all of August, September, and October as just like wide open. I don't know what people are going to be playing during this time.
Yeah, it's interesting because clearly they were planning on having an E3 presentation that was similar to ones
Mm-hmm.
that they'd had in the past. And we've talked about comments that were made at like the shareholders meeting where they talked, Nintendo leadership talked about how all the games that they had planned for the fiscal year, which mean are going to make the fiscal year, that doesn't mean that they're going to be coming out when they thought they were going to, but that right now everything that they thought was going to release by the end of March 2021, they're still planning on releasing by the end of March 2021. So I agree with you. I think that it is a little bit to their detriment. I don't know. This is the part where it's like, how much is internet echo chamber and how much of it is actually like true? Because right, like they, like if you look at the sales numbers, everything
It
is going like
100%.
great, right? So like I don't know how much the general population knows or cares. Um, and so maybe like 6 weeks, 4 weeks, like that sort of like notice for a big game is really like all they need. But just like, as fans, we obviously are like super interested and excited for like whatever's coming next. And so, but yeah, I don't know how far that goes to like the general public.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, certainly as far as like the general public is concerned, but also like I don't know. The this summer has been such a the games coming out of Sony first party right now, or that Sony's releasing for PlayStation exclusively, The Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima, and to a much lesser extent like Iron Man VR, are like all big enough titles that are taking up a lot of oxygen, that like maybe it is best to just like kind of stay out of the way. And there will be I still think we are only a couple days or a couple weeks away from like a Nintendo Direct that does reveal something more about what we'll be playing on Switch towards the end of the year. Um, but like, yeah, maybe the summer was just a good place to let Sony set off that bomb and everyone else just get out of the way.
Yeah, I'm just super curious to see how it all plays out. I hate to do too much prognosticating on this show, only because, like you were saying, like by the time we release this, they could put out another video that just totally, like lays it all out there. So it's difficult to know. We
Also don't want to prognosticate too much because Alex is keeping track.
Oh yeah. um, but it does seem like Nintendo, right? Like, look, it could totally turn out to be that the rumors of these Mario 3D games being remastered or remade is totally not true. But it does seem like something is happening for Mario's 35th anniversary, even if we haven't had Nintendo talk about it that much yet. So last week, Hasbro announced new Mario versions of Monopoly and Jenga that are like celebrations of Mario. Monopoly Super Mario Celebration Edition includes locations from the Super Mario games, from the original all the way to modern day. And it has like an electronic question block that they say can like using it can change a player's luck. And then yeah. And then I wonder if it replaces like community chest.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah. You're going to hit it and win second prize in the beauty contest.
And then Jenga Super Mario Edition, the description is, quote, spin the spinner to find out the next move, how many layers to climb, how many blocks to remove and stack, whether to collect coins or whether the game will reverse directions. It's a battle to the top as players move their own pegs up and their opponent's pegs down, all while trying not to make the tower crash.
Now, Mark, I don't want to sound like too much of a Luddite here, but there is only one variation of Jenga that I like, and that is giant Jenga. I want enormous pieces, and where the game is so big you can only play it on a picnic table, probably at a brew pub or something. Generally, I don't want a lot of extra rules with my Jenga.
Yeah, I've never really played. I don't even know if I've played like the real rules of Jenga. It's always just been kind of like set the tower up and then take turns trying to poke like the different like logs out.
That's it.
Like
that's the rules of Jenga.
But maybe I would really like Jenga Super Mario Edition. I felt like I had to quote the description word for word, just because I don't know that I could try to like paraphrase that exactly.
No, it seems like it's just you spin a spinner and then it puts restrictions on what blocks you can and cannot pull out. But like you're pretty much restricted by how the tower is leaning anyway. Right? Like, I feel like at any point in a game of Jenga, there's one or two good moves, and that's it. My favorite game of Jenga that I ever played, and then you can tell me yours, was at E3 2 years ago. Chris Bermonti and I were at the Devolver Digital they had like a barbecue space outside, and they had set up a giant Jenga, like big pieces, right? Like where the pieces are like a foot long. And we had enough of the show floor, and we got some free beer and some free veggie sausages, and played giant Jenga and got to know each other, and it was great. Yeah, we're bonded for life now.
That sounds really nice.
It was very nice.
VideoGameChronicle.com published an interview with Kensuke Tanabe, who's the producer from EPD of Paper Mario The Origami King, Masahiko Nagaya from Intelligent Systems, who's the director on the game, and then Raiza Tabata, who is the assistant producer from EPD. And they talked about Paper Mario The Origami King. And in the interview, I was reminded that Paper Mario series is 20 years old this year.
Yeah.
And they also mentioned in the interview how members of the development team for Origami King have been working on the series since the beginning, which the whole interview is really good. But I think that kind of like, they talk about it a little bit, but it made me appreciate why it's like, yeah, like I can understand why you would want to continue to try to do new things with each of these games, because you're probably spending like 3 or 4 at least years of your life working on this, and you've been doing it for like, it's something you have been working on for 20 years. Like, I can totally understand why you are interested in exploring like different facets of this idea.
Yeah, I mean, and just because we've only changed one aspect of our show one time and have been doing it for 4 years, doesn't mean we don't want to shake the whole thing up and totally change the combat system.
One item that from this interview that has been getting a lot of like coverage is about the use of Mario characters in the game. And so I'm going to read the question as it was posed and then the answer. So the question was, Mario is famous for its iconic cast of villains. Can you talk about the new villain in this game and how you design a character to stand alongside all-time greats like Bowser and Kamek? And Tanabe responds saying, since Paper Mario Sticker Star, it's no longer possible to modify Mario characters or to create original characters that touch on the Mario universe. That means that if we aren't using Mario characters for bosses, we need to create original characters with the designs that don't involve the Mario universe at all, like we've done with Ollie and the stationary bosses. So, what people have been like commenting on and is like using this kind of as an example, like, the early Paper Mario games and everybody's favorite, the Thousand Year Door, like there are like Toads and Goombas and like a Yoshi character and like all this kind of stuff that are like, they have a lot of personality and they are like differentiated, like they are different, versus the later games in the series, including Origami King, where you just have like a lot of like generic toads, and their dialogue may be funny, but the toads themselves are just like toads. Um and I think it's like an interesting difference, and I wonder where, like, it seems like that mandate, or like that structure probably came from Nintendo, and I'm just curious your thoughts on like why you think maybe like that is.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder if it's just a little bit of not wanting the. I'm gonna mess up the metaphor here, but not wanting the. No, in fact, I'm so afraid of messing up the metaphor. I'm not even gonna do it. But not wanting the Paper Mario cart to be driving the rest of the Mario train, right? So like if they're making new unique Goomba characters that this one has a beard and like wears a flannel shirt, and his name is Tom and he likes knitting, that like, do we have to see Tom in the next, do we need to see Dr. Goomba Tom, do we need to see Tom in a Mario Kart game? Like I wonder if they're like, no, here are the characters that you have to choose from, do these characters or do something new that is part of like the Paper Mario universe. That sort of makes sense to me, that they're saying that we can it's no longer possible to modify Mario characters or to create original characters that touch on the Mario universe. That sort of makes sense to me. It's not what it's wanting to make it so that the tail is not wagging the dog. There it is. I got to it.
Yeah, I wonder if it's like a Kingdom Hearts type thing, right? Where they're like, look, you have the Square Enix created characters that you can do anything you want with. And then there's these Disney characters, and these have like really strict rules because they exist in like a different universe. And so you have to respect those rules of like the Disney characters. If like a similar thing is happening with Paper Mario, where it's like you are playing in like the Mario universe, but like the things that you really have a ton of control over are like the things that you create for yourself. The piece that I don't know, like I think there's a valid argument both ways, like in brand integrity or like preserving what makes Mario special. But also it's like I don't know if there's necessarily a ton of harm in in my mind in introducing, that like Goomba Tom, and then people really like him, then it's like, yeah, like sure, he can be a racer in Mario Kart, like, like why not? That's like a fun Easter egg that's like expanding um the universe of Mario. Like it opens up the possibilities. Is just like another way of looking at it.
Yeah, well, and I wonder if like that is still like something that is available to them. It's just like the process of like going back and forth with Nintendo proper about it is to uh like maybe there's too much red tape. Not that they can't do it, it just takes more time than they want to or more money than they can spend, um to go through that process. Like I can concede that is a bummer, right? Like I like when individual toads have personalities or jobs or whatever. But I also think that there's a way to build out the Paper Mario universe specifically in a way where the Paper Mario specifics are the things that are carrying over from one game to the next, and not just the generic Mario. Like if they're not going to let you mess with Toad, like go mess with a Shy Guy, or like there's something else you can mess with, or like make your own stable of characters that you can mess with.
I also wonder, right, like what I don't want to do is like prescribe too much meaning to this particular quote, because who knows, right?
Yeah.
Like really what's going on, or like to not like we might be assigning meaning to this that like Tanabe's like, no, that's not like really what's going on. But that being said, I do think it's interesting like to think about like where that line is drawn within Nintendo, because like Guigi can exist in like um uh Luigi's Mansion. And I was gonna call it Hotel Luigi in Luigi's Mansion. But right, so it's like so clearly like new things can exist, but where they come from, that's where it feels like to me. It's like there's obviously more going on than what we're all reading into this one quote.
Is it possible that Tanabe is also confused by the question? Because I'm going to push back a little bit on the premise of the question. The question reads, Mario is famous for its iconic cast of villains. Mark, true or false?
I mean, Bowser.
One. Okay.
Yeah.
And the two examples given here are all-time greats like Bowser and Kamek. Who cares about Kamek? Get it out of here. I don't know that the question has any meaning whatsoever.
Yeah, totally fair. Totally fair. But like I said, the entire interview was really good, and I just, I just cherry picked the one thing out of there that a lot of people had been talking about. But the whole thing, which probably drives the people who both did like administer the interview and the people who are being asked questions, like absolutely crazy, because it's not the most interesting thing that's in there. So I recommend everybody go
just the most inflammatory.
Yes, exactly. Hey, Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles was originally released for the GameCube, and it could, one of the big like standout features of it is that it could be played in local multiplayer. But the way you did it is each person had to have their own Game Boy Advance, and then you would use the Game Boy Advance connector cable to plug it into the GameCube, so everybody would really be like viewing their own Game Boy Advance screen while one person was controlling the action on the TV. So I guess like one of the things that I didn't know about the Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles remaster that's coming out in August is that it won't have local multiplayer, just online, which I actually think is a good trade-off nowadays. Especially because they're giving the free light version, which will let you play the first 3 dungeons of the game for free, but it includes like online crossplay with all the other platforms, including mobile, and you can play all 13 dungeons for free if you're teaming up with somebody who has purchased the full game. So one person needs to buy the full game, then everybody else can play it online, which, like we were talking about with Bloodstained, Curse of the Moon 2, like this is the perfect time for a couch co-op game.
Yeah, totally. And it's a little bit of a bummer. This means that it also doesn't have like local network play, right? Like a lot of Switch games you'll be able to do that. And I guess maybe the issue with that is like, how do you do local network play like cross to an iPhone, because it's also on mobile, right?
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I didn't think about that. But like, how would you do? Oh, you're saying like 2 switches that were like not necessarily, that are just connected by like Bluetooth or something.
Correct. Or well, it's not Bluetooth, but yeah, whatever it is, it's the local network play. Because I know you can do like local network play of Splatoon and a lot of Nintendo multiplayer games where they are connecting wirelessly on like their own network, but not like pinging up to the internet to do it. And so I guess it's like a little bit of a bummer that that's not part of this. But like if the matchmaking is like good and clear and easy, and it means that you can do the crossplay on all the various platforms, and also we're not in the same room as anyone anymore anyway, so who cares? Also, shame on both of us, because this is another game that's coming out on Switch relatively shortly. Not published by Nintendo, of course, and not even an exclusive one, but still like a notable release.
Mario Kart Tour, the Mario Kart mobile game, is getting an update that will allow racers to play in landscape mode for the first time. Previously, you could only play in portrait mode, but starting today, July 21st, you can play the game with your phone oriented horizontally.
Which is cool. That's obviously how we play a lot of Mario Kart. Basically, anytime you're playing Mario Kart single player on a console or handheld, you're getting that sort of panoramic perspective. And whenever you're playing with the phone horizontally, it always feels like you're, doing like a 4-player split screen, and you don't have enough like real estate to really see what's going on. I wonder if that changes. Or if that messes it all with like the course design. Like, are the courses designed to like see further down the track than you would in landscape mode?
Yeah, that's interesting. I feel like memory of the game, which I haven't played for a few months now, was that like not really. But I guess it seems like it would make it more comfortable to do like motion controls though, to be able to hold it horizontally.
Feels more like a wheel that way.
Mm-hmm.
See if I can, duct tape it to one of my old Wii steering wheels, which I could probably do in portrait mode as well.
Finally, we mentioned the past few weeks, we brought up that like Ring Fit Adventure is starting to get restocked more regularly in the US, and the NPD sales figures that were released for June absolutely reflect that. I just thought this was pretty remarkable. So Ring Fit Adventure in June was the 7th best-selling game of the month.
Wow.
Across all platforms. This is of course based on revenue, so it's boosted by that extra $20 that you pay. But in May, the thing that's interesting is that in May it was tracked at number 835.
Woo! Boy, that is why even bother tracking at that point? Like, you get to 500 and stop keeping track.
I know. Getting the full like NPD report would be so interesting to see like what games are like selling like dozens of copies, because it seems like it would like get down to that.
Yeah, it'd be like, who's still buying Shovel Knight? All right, Mark, let's get out of the news. Okay, that's going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Remember, please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. If you like the episode, you can share it on Facebook or Twitter or wherever you share stuff. You should follow us on Twitter. I'm at Patrick_Ellers. Mark is at MK Mitchell, and the show is at Nin Cart Society. We also have a Facebook page, which is just Nintendo Cartridge Society. Olivia Duncan made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Eller saying thank you for listening.
Hey, Rachel, Oscar.
Yeah, Claire?
Do you love Disney movies?
Uh-huh.
Have you seen them all?
Not all of them.
What do you guys think if we watch them all in chronological order and then talk about them?
Ooh. Oh, and what if we can talk about it with some of our favorite friends?
I love that.
Yeah, what if we do it inside the Disney Vault?
You know, that's the name of our podcast, Inside the Disney Vault on Campfire Media.
Yeah, check us out on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to yours.
That's Inside the Disney Vault.
Let's go!
Woo!
Campfire.